We're live right now. So it's a beautiful sunny day in Grand Ronde. As always, when I'm filming, it starts to get windy. So hopefully that won't show up on the microphone, but I'm here with Kathleen George, and we are, almost halfway through the election season so far. And what has it been like as an incumbent as opposed to a challenger, which is the situation you were in 3 years ago?
Mostly similar. The one real benefit that you have is that, simply over the course of the last almost 3 years, you've been experienced to the ebb and flow of the day-to-day business of tribal council. So when people ask you questions, you just have a great deal more background information than a challenger has. And so that's really helpful, putting the question in perspective and even sharing some examples. So I would say that's probably the major difference. That, and of course you have the opportunity to talk about examples of the things that you've worked on over the last several years that you're proud of and you think have gone well. And but the hard work, the talking to lots of people, the getting out and attending all the forums and chatting with people both in person and online, all that's the same. And it's a really busy summer, but it's full of really great conversations.
So what hasn't been brought up in the election season this year that surprises you?
Let's see. Well, I would say something that hasn't been brought up in any of the forums to date is what I have heard is kind of an accusation that this tribal council has somehow been less open or transparent or accountable than previous councils. That's something I've seen online, and I've missed the opportunity to talk about in the forums because I really think there's really no substance to that accusation whatsoever. In addition to creating the free press, realizing the free press that's promised in our Constitution that allows our newspaper or any of the ways Smoke Signals now produces news to not have undue control by tribal council, that's giving our tribal members completely independent coverage of what the government is up to. In addition, we have created timeframes for confidential documents, documents that have been marked confidential in our archives, to just automatically become available to tribal members at a certain point of time. In the past, we had confidential documents that would just maybe potentially never be available to tribal members, and we've changed that. Also, the advisory vote process has really provided one of the most direct ways tribal members have to influencing the next year's budget and work of the tribal government, and we can see examples of that having played out in just the last couple of years. We're now building market rate housing because of an advisory vote. We conducted a constitutional amendment election because of an advisory vote. So you can see tribal resources and work effort responding directly to the interests of tribal members. So I think that claim is something that requires a little ground truthing. And if the folks who have that concern want to talk about what it is that they're not seeing that they want to, I would really appreciate hearing that, because I think we have a tribal council right now that is working very hard to be as transparent and as accountable as we can be. So I want to hear more about what they think it is that's missing so that we can talk about it.
Okay. So I asked this question of Denise on Saturday, and I'll ask you, what about having elections in summer? Do you think that that's the ideal time to have our tribal council elections?
I don't know. There's been talk of changing our elections to the fall so that they kind of correspond with what most Oregonians think of as election season, or probably even, most Americans. I can see some potential pros to that, which would include, it's just the time of year that more people are thinking about leadership and government and tuning into those issues. On the other hand, I also see that that's a time when, families are doing back to school activities with kids or grandkids. You're getting involved in school, you're going to school associated games and activities. And I think the challenge for us is that we are such a busy tribal government now, there's pretty much not a downtime season anymore. Of course, there are a lot of things going on during summer as well, with people taking summer vacations. But at least you don't have the demands on family that school and all those things bring. You don't kind of have the weather constraints that sometimes can occur in fall or winter. So I don't know. After weighing all that out, I still lean towards summer because you do have one of our largest gatherings of the entire year occur late in the summer, which is our contest powwow. A lot of folks also come out for Veterans Powwow. Summer is a time of a lot of family reunions, so tribal members are getting together and talking about how they think things are going. So I think it would make a really great advisory vote. And if I heard the tribal membership tell us through an advisory vote they want to change it, then I'd be completely on board. But until then, I think I'm going to stick with summer.
All right, and that would have to be next year, of course, because we've already sent out the ballots.
That would definitely not be able to happen this year, but it is something we could certainly put on the advisory vote ballot next year.
All right, cool. Well, thank you.